Hello there and welcome to this week's edition of Creative Critique. Now, the newly released cinematic film that I went to see this week was the newest film from Canadian film director Denis Villeneuve, and that film was Sicario. So what's Sicario about and who does it star? Well, in principle it stars three main actors, beginning with Emily Blunt, who plays an agent of a special weapons and tactical team who specialises in raiding houses for drugs, weapons, so on and so forth. And it also stars Josh Brolin, who plays a CIA operative, mainly of like a tactical team. And alongside him is Benicio del Toro, who it's very fair to say is his role is very, very unclear. So this is one where watch the film, find out what his role in this film is. Other than he's an associate of the CIA operative that Josh Brolin plays as. So the film is generally about the war on drugs between America and Mexico and the trafficking of such products. The film opens with Emily Blunt storming a house in Arizona, I think it was Arizona, and making a gruesome discovery. I will spoil this bit, so spoiler coming here. The gruesome discovery is numbers of bodies and bodies and bodies who have been killed, people who have been killed in relation to drugs cartels and all their association with them. And it makes her question, what is she doing? Is it having any effect at all on the world around her? And it just makes her question her whole world, if you will. What proceeds then to happen is that Josh Brolin comes on the scene, and Emily Blunt's boss has recommended her for a role in his team, if you will. And what is the role in particular? That is very unclear also. Other than that, the question is asked, do you want to have a greater effect on this aspect of crime? She obviously says yes, therefore volunteers for this role without knowing exactly what it is going to entail. So it's a mysterious job for quite a mysterious boss in Josh Brolin. But even more mysterious is Benicio del Toro's role as an associate of Brolin. And he has such few sort of moments of dialogue. I don't want to spoil any of it. So discover what his role in the film is for yourself. But it is a truly, truly great performance by Del Toro. And he does stand out. He probably does have the more eye-catching role in the film. But Emily Blunt at the moment just really can't do any wrong, can she? She's such a versatile actress. And yeah, I don't want much more praise because some of her recent films, I absolutely loved her in Edge of Tomorrow. She was great in that film. And here she is once again proving, hey, This is the stuff. Do you know what I mean? This is the stuff that you want from an actress. And yeah, really, really, really good performance by her. Strong, emotional, fragile. There's things going on with the character more than any others. Josh Brolin pretty much plays it straight down the middle, but for his sort of character, that is not the wrong thing to do, if you will. But Benicio del Toro does sort of steal it with the way he acts in this film, in a way. I don't know how to describe it without obviously seeing the film itself. So, so great performances here on show from the cast. Now, what's interesting about it is also, I'll just go through other little technical aspects of the film. Roger Deakins is the cinematographer on this film, and some of the shots in this film, you just want to sit back and just take in for longer than you're given, because they are just sublime. Yes, there's some silhouettes of agents going over a border, and it's very hard for me to describe. The colours, the way the landscape is used, the colours that are used, how the presence of actors are used, and yes, there's some really, really useful overhead shots as well, sprawling over land, and there's tracking shots regarding when there's going to be an extraction with a particular criminal they go into Mexico to get, and you just follow their convoy. Like, it is truly fabulous the way it's done and the way it's shot. Editing, therefore, is also sublime, but the cinematography is what stands out the most. And all the music by Johan Johansson is such a, I've said this quite a lot recently, an understated but truly ticking over sort of a soundtrack. And what I mean by that is it's an understated but absolutely tense as hell little piece of wonderful soundtrack. So, of a film score, and it ramps up tension fabulously well, particularly with what I'll describe there with an extraction. It's effectively almost like a heartbeat is running through the film, and that's how it works. So wonderful work on the soundtrack and cinematography and editing, as I've said. Denis Villeneuve, the director, is not at all shy about making films that are extremely morally questionable. I think that's the words I'm looking for. I mean, Prisoners is the film I've seen of his. I've not seen any others, but Prisoners, if you've seen Prisoners, that is a very dark film. And the darkest you've ever seen Hugh Jackman. Yes. He is not scared at all about going for the darkness, and this is a gritty, gloomy film. If you're looking to be cheered up, this is not the film to do it for you. But hey, the film is often a mirror of life, and this film is certainly holding one up for you to reflect upon it. So there we go. Because, like I say, regarding the gloominess and darkness of the film, it's just of hold a mirror. Yeah, there we go. I'm just babbling now. Yeah, the ending of this film sort of makes you question things that are going on in real life and things like that. So yeah, it's also a film that is not overlong as well, because this sort of film could be easily a bloated film. It's not extremely heavily in dialogue, because it tends to use mood more than anything, and that is quite really effective in my opinion. And yeah, 2 hours long. It is brilliantly paced as well. So I think it's a really well made piece of filmmaking on many aspects, and I can easily foresee quite a few nominations awards wise with this sort of film, on many technical aspects, and even sort of some of the acting aspects. We'll see who gets those sort of plaudits, because I think Ellen Munt was really good, and of course the Benicio del Toro was really good. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, Sicario, really good, really good, quite intense at times. A motorway scene in particular, a highway scene I should say, highway scene over the border. It's very extremely tense moments, but it's not a film for you to be cheered up by. So brace yourself a little bit. But yeah, otherwise it's a really good film. So there we go, Sicario. Now my classic film of the week is debatable whether people will put it in the bracket of classic. Without a doubt, it is in the bracket of cult film. But I'll leave that up for debate whether it's described as classic. But that is the whole point of this segment, is because I bring forward films who either I think or others think, and we all have a discussion about it, don't we? So the film in question is The Warriors, which is directed by Walter Hill, from 1979. Now, the best way to describe this sort of film is, I think it's absolutely out and out B movie, and there are many reasons why I believe that to be so, and I'm not the first to say this, of course. There's loads of people who have said this before, but I'm in agreement with them, if you will. Made in a very modest budget of $4 million. Made pretty much with actors of unknown quantities. So, unknown cast. Very small budget. Has that feel of a gritty shoot as well. The fact that I read that there was only one scene that was actually on a set, and the rest of it, well, it lends itself to the film itself anyway, but shot on the streets of New York. What the film, I should probably explain, what the film entails is a society in the near future, in New York in this case, where gangs are very, very prominent. And I mean, very, very prominent. There are thousands and thousands of gangs. So every sort of block, if you will be controlled by a particular gang. The one that we focus on, of course, is the Warriors themselves, who are from Coney Island. Now, how the film sets itself up is at the beginning of the film, there is a discussion saying there's a big meet going on between all these gangs, all the major prominent gangs in New York, and the leader of one of the most charismatic and biggest gangs, the Riffs, is bringing them all together to have a discussion about taking control of the whole city between them. So, that's the setup. What occurs during this meet is the leader of this gang, Cyrus, gets shot by a member of a gang there. The blame quickly falls upon the Warriors themselves, and it is then about them making it back to their patch in Coney Island, trying to travail all the obstacles in front of them, being gangs and police and so on and so forth. So that premise alone also lends itself to a B-movie thing of the we've all got to get back home sort of aspect of a story. So yes, that's the premise, and I just find it really, really, really entertaining. I mean, there's some absolutely iconic dialogue in this film. Some have described the dialogue as quite stilted, but some of it may be, but some of it is absolutely iconic also. I mean, can you dig it? If you know that line, yeah, there we go. And I also really like another one, just to do a little impression. Warriors, come out to play. There we go, that's my high voice for you. And so yeah, some iconic moments visually and dialogue-wise. And just visually, it's doing some really, really interesting things as well. I mean, it does some great scenes of a trodden down, gritty New York, which it was in the 70s, wasn't it? So it's playing up with that sort of angle of crime that was prominent at that moment in time. What he's trying to say politically, I'm a bit unsure of. I'm not gonna lie, because am I supposed to be on the side of the gangs? Am I supposed to be on the side of the police? Is the fact that all these gangs are trying to take over the city a good thing over the police? Because actually the police are actually been treading on all the civilians, and these gangs have been formed because of the police aspect of it. I'm not sure. I think it's all open to interpretation. But yeah, like I said briefly before, the visually some of the aspects, because the gangs themselves are such prominently costumed. Is that a word, costumed? Visually, they have such unique looks. So there's been an absolutely brilliant case of a wardrobe department's influence on this film, because it is if you wanted to, you could have a Warriors Halloween party or a Warriors film fancy dress extravaganza if you wanted to, because it's truly wonderful to look at. And the film score also is, at that time in the late 70s, very reminiscent of a John Carpenter score. Quite electronic rock it was. Featuring Joe Walsh in some aspects, I believe. And it's almost sort of preempting the Escape from New York sort of thing as well, because I've seen Escape from New York before this film, and I can see the influences on that as well. So, hey, Escape from New York is such a John Carpenter film, but there's such a sort of relevance between those two films also. So yeah, there we go. Great score, some memorable moments in the film. Hey, some of it looks a bit not the greatest, but it's made in a very modest budget. It is an hour and a half long. It is a nice, nifty little thriller, in my opinion, and it made a nifty profit in the time. It didn't get great reviews at the time, but when I saw it the first time, I absolutely really enjoyed it. And having read up about that, I was quite surprised. But now it's in terms of, it's been reevaluated, I believe, and it's now quite, as I say, it's a cult film. The critics are still Some really, really like it, some over it, but yeah, it's had a reevaluation, and it was rightfully so in my opinion. So there we go. The Warriors, really, really nice, nifty little film in my opinion, from director Walter Hill. Yeah, there we go. So that was my classic film of the week, if you would agree, The Warriors. And my theatrically released film of the week was Sicario, the Denis Villeneuve directed drug cartel thriller. So there we go. Maybe my films of the week. Thank you very much for watching if you have. I hope you subscribe to me if you enjoy what I've had to say, and I hope to see and speak to you again next time. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.